Hey, welcome to Duanesworld. It's me, Dwayne the boozinblogger, coming at you. Upcoming is the second part of my interview with Mr. Christopher Young. And we're going to talk about, we're just going to continue to talk about rock and roll and music and life in Hollywood. And sorry this wasn't done on Tuesday like I was supposed to, but I ran into some technical difficulties and it wasn't possible to get it edited in time. So here it is. Enjoy.
Yeah, because even then, I'm sure, Axl Rose is tired of being in an airport and having people clamor all over him and bug him for an autograph. Or I've read interviews with even the guys in Rush. They say they're in a bathroom taking a piss and some guy's asking for an autograph.
It's like, dude, I'm holding my junk.
Exactly. Yeah. So, there's always going to be moments where they're like, this sucks. I just wish people would leave me alone or wish they weren't recognized. So it's a balancing act.
It is.
It's good and it's bad. So it's like anything else.
I read an interview, actually, I hate the fact that I always bring up Billy Joe, but where he hated the publicity. He would wear a hoodie.
Yeah.
And to do interviews and stuff, and he hated doing interviews, and now he's totally embraced it. But when he first started out, because he was a punk rocker.
Yeah.
Punk rockers are
they're they're rebelling. They're against the establishment. They're not rock stars.
No.
In that sense, they're always rebelling. So they're not the guy who buys the mansion on the hill with the sports car. So yeah, I can see that.
Yeah. Did you ever get into the punk rock scene?
Not so much. No, I mean, I liked how they when Iron Maiden first came out. They actually incorporate a little bit of punk in it.
Yeah.
And if you see interviews, they said the same thing. They said, yeah, we grabbed some of our roots were from Sex Pistols and from late 70s punk bands. So they did bring a little bit of that into the music. But to me, it was always it was a little too repetitive.
Yes, and very easy.
And there's nothing wrong with that.
No, God, no. One of the first songs I learned to play was "Tumbling in the Backseat, Generate Skin Deep." Blitzkrieg Bop.
Yes,
by the Ramones.
Yeah, which is probably 3 chords.
It's 3 chords, and easy 3 chords that don't hurt your right hand.
Yeah,
you don't have to worry about the strumming because it's all the same, and it's like playing a Joan Jett song, same thing. It's like, okay, that's easy. But yeah, I fell in love with punk, and I really embraced it, and it was a lot of fun. But then as I got older, it started giving me headaches. Well, because I was listening to hardcore too, like the Dayglow Abortions and DOA, and DOA. You know who DOA is?
I do not. Okay. I think I've seen the name.
Joey Shithead. Joey Shithead.
Is that his actual name, or you just don't like
him? No, that's what he goes by. Oh, okay. It's Joey something or other. Somebody's going to correct me. Anyway, so he actually ran for government for the Green Party in BC. Okay. And but yeah, they've done punk rock, punk rock. They're like the grandfathers of Canadian punk rock.
Okay.
And so I was talking to him at a show in Ottawa, and the year later, he walked up and he tapped me on the shoulder, and he exactly knew who I was, and it was like, this is fucking ridiculous. How does Joey remember me?
Right.
And he remembered the conversation we had about politics.
Well, maybe it was a messed up conversation, and that's why you remembered.
Maybe, but it was like, holy fuck. And I waited like 20 years to see DOA, and then I saw them 2 years in a row. But it was like, they did a cover of Taking Care of Business, and it was just hilarious. And a cover of Singing in the Rain.
Yeah, well, I think punk's been more about attitude.
Yes, it's about attitude. Yeah. And the guy, though, when I saw him, he was still built like a brick shithouse.
Okay.
Have you seen pictures of Iggy Pop lately?
Well, he looks like a corpse.
He looks like a corpse, but he's still got abs. What the hell does a corpse have abs? What are you gonna play, Chris?
I don't know. I'll just riff on something and we'll see what comes out. How's that?
Holy fuck.
The hell, man.
That was really good.
Rock and roll.
That's rock and roll, man. That's just, I just can't believe how far you've gone and how far you've come. Like I said, Chris started out as a drummer, and so he kind of Dave Grohl'd it.
Yeah, Dave Grohl was always one of those guys who was into everything, right?
Yeah.
He was a phenomenal drummer. I can't.
Oh
believe
God, yeah,
I didn't keep doing that. You know what I mean?
But yes, Dave Grohl is like fucking an amazing drummer.
Oh yeah. Phenomenal.
Yeah.
Yeah, I never understood why. Well, I kind of do understand, but he could have easily just carried on and had a career as a drummer, and he would have been very successful. But you could tell he just wanted to do other things.
Oh, he wanted to be a front man.
He wanted to be a front man, and he makes a great front man, and above all, he's a great songwriter.
Oh yeah.
And typically drummers don't write songs like that.
No, and he writes and I can't remember what album it was, but I heard that he like did all the instruments himself. Like he recorded the album.
Yeah.
And then just,
Played everything.
Yeah,
and he can sing. So that's one bonus where, yeah, there's a lot of guys who could, guitar players can, a lot of guys can fake a bass part,
Yeah.
They can play guitar,
Yeah.
they can play bass. Maybe drums, it does take a lot more experience to play a drum part, but he could do it all. And he could sing. So he could
And he could sing like,
Yeah.
One of my absolute favorite bands growing up was Cinderella.
Mine too.
And Tom Kiefer, like after he had his node surgery, and he's come back and it's like, fuck, he still sounds really, really good. Like,
Yeah.
like,
And he's got a raspy voice.
oh, I know.
And typically singers like that, they don't have a long career. Or at least their vocals don't have a long career. Because singing like that.
Yeah,
it's
that whiskey and
difficult.
cigarette sound is.
Yes, absolutely. That's tough.
And yeah, and did you know that he taught Jeff LeBar to play?
I did not know that.
Yeah, he needed a rhythm guitar player, so he taught Jeff LeBar to play guitar.
Oh wow, I did not know that.
Which is really, really cool.
Yeah.
Because I don't know, listen to Cinderella. Tom Kiefer is a fucking amazing guitar player. And an absolutely amazing vocalist. But yeah, Cinderella was a really good band.
I absolutely love Cinderella. They were one of the big, not so much a musical influence, but I just love the way their stage presence. They were rock stars.
They were
rock stars, and they wrote great songs, and they were blues-based rock songs,
yes,
which I really liked. And I remember early 2000s when I was living in LA. A buddy of mine, he had a restaurant, a breakfast joint on Sunset. And he's like, oh, I got a buddy from Philly coming down. You want to go for breakfast? I was like, sure. So we sit down at the table, and it was the drummer from Cinderella.
Yeah, I can't remember his name now.
I can't remember his name either. But we were sitting there shooting the shit, and I said, I saw you guys back in '86 in Montreal.
For the Shelter Me tour?
It might have been Long Cold Winter.
Oh, okay, Long Cold Winter.
Yeah. And they opened for AC/DC.
Really?
Yeah, at the Forum in Montreal.
I've performed at the Forum.
You performed at the Forum?
Yes.
No way.
Comedian.
Oh,
Yeah.
dude, check you out.
Yeah, but the forum's no longer a thing, so
Well, it's
it's
got
still a thing. We're
it's got its
Canadian.
place
Yeah,
in
yeah,
history,
yeah.
for sure.
The Comedy Nest is actually in the forum.
But interesting enough, when we were talking, when I told him about that, I said, I saw you guys at the Forum on John, and it was an unbelievable show. The whole thing was
Oh fuck! I
rails.
still have Shelter Me DVD.
Absolutely off the rails. It was such a great rock concert, and he said, and I'm not kidding, he said, not only do I remember that show in Montreal, he said that was the best show of the tour.
Oh really?
That's what he told me, and I was like, how you would remember that after all these years, because those guys play hundreds of thousands of shows, but he remembered it, and he remembered that show, and he said that was the best one.
Yeah.
Wow, how cool is that?
I love Cinderella. I saw them for their Shelter Me tour. Heartbreak Station tour.
Oh.
And they had Slaughter opening. And I like Slaughter too.
Great singer.
Oh God, his vocal is like crazy.
Yeah.
It's like Rick Emmett on steroids.
Yeah, he was one of those guys who his range, he could sing so incredibly high, and he could do it well.
Yes, and then bring it back down,
Yeah.
and it was like, oh my God, Fly to the Angels is like, it's a masterpiece in music.
Yeah, and that was before auto-tune too.
Yeah, yeah.
In the 80s, they recorded to tape, and whatever you sang is what was recorded.
Exactly, and I watched him do it live, playing a piano, and it was like, how?
Yeah.
And it was the same. I've got the Heartbreak Station DVD from Cinderella, and it's unfortunate that they don't have the Slaughter opening set there too. But I watched the show on my TV, and I went, it's exactly like the fucking show was. Like every song is in the same place, and it was like Tom Kiefer was just on fire.
Yeah.
And then he had his. Or no, they released Still Climbing, and then he had his nodes problem.
Okay.
Still Climbing, I still loved it. One of the songs still makes me kind of tear up, actually. It was the one about his mother, and it was like, oh man, it's the same thing with me. But yeah, we grew up with such great fucking music. Like,
yeah, we did.
And we got to see the bands when they were still
in their prime.
Like I mean, the only band that I felt I got ripped off with was Ozzy when I saw him. It was the Bark of the Moon tour, and he had Jakey Lee, who was fucking phenomenal.
Yes.
And did you know Sharon Osbourne didn't like him?
Oh yeah, I've heard the stories. And do you realize he only made like $400 a week playing with Ozzy? He was paid $400 a week.
Oh my God!
I'm not kidding.
He got screwed.
You think?
Oh yeah.
And not just that.
Because he was just as good as Randy Rhoads.
Oh, he was phenomenal. He was absolutely phenomenal.
Yeah.
And not only that, but he did the majority of the songwriting from the Bark at the Moon and the Ultimate Sin albums.
Okay.
And he got fuck all for both those albums. He got
because she fucked him.
Because Sharon screwed him.
Yeah. I've heard all those stories, and it's like, are you fucking like? Jakey Lee is a fucking amazing guitar player.
No,
that's one of the Bark of the Moon solo is one of my favorite guitar solos.
It's iconic.
It is, and it's like there are iconic solos. There's Eruption, there's Crazy Train, but then there's Bark of the Moon, and it's like, fuck, that was just so good.
It was a song within a song.
But Ozzy only played for like 35 minutes.
Wow.
Rat actually played almost as long.
Well, let's not forget, and I think I actually saw that show, Rat opening for Ozzy.
Yes.
Yeah, I saw that show. Rat were phenomenal.
It was their first tour for Out of the Cellar.
Yeah, they were unstoppable.
Oh, so I was so glad that I got to see Rat.
Yeah.
Because they were just amazing. Like, they were an amazing band too, and they're still around too.
Well, they're Stephen Pearcy and Warren DeMartini are still playing.
Yes.
The other guys aren't. I've met those guys too. I met Steve Piercy many times.
Was he cool?
He was very cool. He's like one of those guys who kind of sits in the corner and smokes, and he wears leather, and he's that kind of cool.
He smokes?
Yeah, like a chimney.
With that voice?
Yeah.
How the fuck?
He's an anomaly. Even Ronnie James Dio, he was a heavy smoker too. But yeah, I hung out with the drummer from Rat. Him and I and a buddy, we went to, there's a show in LA called the NAMM Show, National Associated Music Merchants. And every year it's a big convention, and they have an arena, and they sell music gear, and musicians hang out and shoot the shit and whatnot. And I got a weekend with a buddy of mine and the drummer from, Robin Crosby.
Oh yeah, okay, yeah.
Yeah.
Now
That was an absolute shit show from the beginning. It was but debauchery and drugs and booze and strippers and in clubs and the absolute everything that you read about and hear about that bands do back in the day, everything that you've ever heard, it's worse.
Oh.
So when you hear those stories and people go, that's crazy, that could have never happened, they're partially right in that it's crazy because it's too unbelievable. The truth is, it's a lot worse, or it was a lot worse. So when you hear those things, they were even crazier than that.
Like I can imagine that the party where Vince Neil killed the guy from Hanoi Rocks.
Yeah.
I could just imagine how insane that party would have been. Like,
yeah. No, you can't even wrap your head around it. Like that when that movie Dirt came out.
Yeah.
They tried to capture what was going on then, and they did a pretty good job of it, but it was worse.
Yeah. Oh man,
it was worse.
To have lived that life, Chris. I wish I had lived some of that life, brother.
That's all right. We can look back and say that it was our era, so we got to experience part of it. Other people, this generation, all they can do is watch a movie like Dirt.
Yes,
that's as close as they're going to.
That's right, and we've watched Tommy Lee do spin up and down in a drum set and everything else, like literally do it. Take giant friggin' chug a fucking bottle of JD and then go upside down and play it.
Yeah, snorting lines off of hookers' tits.
Yeah,
you name it.
That's
absolute insanity.
But man, like I said, we grew up in the greatest era of music.
We did.
Like I said, I saw Great White for their very first tour.
I saw that.
And they opened for Judas Priest, yeah, exactly. And it was funny because it was supposed to be somebody else, and they couldn't. No, that wasn't it. Sorry, that was an April Wine concert.
Oh.
But yeah, Judas Priest for Defenders of the Faith tour, and I still have my T-shirt for that. It's pretty faded.
Yeah, I remember that concert.
Yes,
I remember that. I remember it was so loud. And back then, remember how cool it was that you wanted to get as close to the stage as you could.
Until your ears rang for 3
days.
You
wanted to get as close as you possibly could, and that meant standing up for the whole show, having to look over somebody's head for the whole show, because you're in general admission.
Yeah, but I didn't have to do that. But
well, you were taller. So
I was taller. It was easier for me.
Try to stretch, but I remember standing right in front of the main speakers at that show. And my entire body was just shaking.
Yeah.
It was shaking from the sheer volume.
Like the Civic Center, wasn't that a great place to watch?
It was an amazing place.
It was so much better than any of the other big places.
It was big enough, but no matter where you were, you could see well, you could hear well. Because, some of these arenas that you see bands in now.
At 20,000 people.
Yeah, you're up in nosebleeds. You spend the whole show watching the big screen.
Yeah, exactly.
And I've been to some of these shows where you're so far back that because the sound takes some time.
It takes a second, almost.
So drummer hits a cymbal and you don't even hear it until a few seconds later.
Yeah.
So it's out of sync.
Yeah.
So it's the Civic Center was one of the places.
I love the Civic Center. I just loved going to shows there. I've seen so many amazing bands there. And we got to see them in their prime. before they broke up, or, I mean, I saw Ozzy by himself, and I saw Black Sabbath with Ian Gillan, and, but still, like, and then I got to see, like, when I went to see Black Sabbath, it was Nazareth opening.
I saw that show.
And didn't it blow you away when he brought the bagpipes out and did the solo for Hair of the Dog with bagpipes? And it's like, what the fuck is that?
Yeah, that was unexpected.
I didn't even know there were bagpipes for it.
Yeah.
And that was just
unbelievable.
And like, I mean, and I think it was the same year that I saw it. I think, it was pretty close to almost the same year when Deep Purple, like Ian Gillan went back to Deep Purple and they played the Civic Center.
That
it's
was
like
the Perfect Strangers too.
Yeah, it was like, we just watched so much good music. What do you got for me?
And when they played that riff, they had lasers.
Yes.
And that was the first time I'd ever seen a band with lasers. I'd ever seen a show with lasers. But when they went into that riff in Perfect Strangers, and you saw that, it just blew my mind.
It was just,
what is this? It was unbelievable.
Ian Gillan to me was really, really cool too. Like he'd get his hair over his face and he couldn't even fucking tell if he was facing you or if he was facing the drummer. Like, it was like, what the fuck? But Deep Purple was amazing. Like, I mean, we had so many good, and they were like once a month.
Oh, it seemed like we were constantly going to shows.
Yeah, it was like, I would live that again.
Oh, absolutely.
Oh God, like not even like April Wine. It was April Wine. It was supposed to be Corey Hart was supposed to open, and it was Honeymoon Suite instead.
I saw April Wine at Lansdowne Park with Loverboy.
Oh yeah, I saw Loverboy
with 1980.
Yeah,
which there's probably a lot of people watching right now weren't even born then.
No, you know what's funny is so I have nieces from my ex last marriage, and it's like I was listening to Green Day. She goes, "You know who Green Day is?" It's like,
well, yeah.
I grew up, and Basket Case is actually my ringtone on my phone.
Right.
And she goes, "Oh, I thought they were new." It's like, no. Do you know Dookie came out in like 94? And their first two albums, there were two albums before that, or three albums before that, which I have all. I that's the one thing I do have with Green Day is every single album they've ever dropped. I did the same with Melissa Etheridge and John Cougar. They were my
go-to bands.
Yeah. I'm glad I got to see the Hip.
Do you know that I didn't know who the Hip were until I moved back to Canada?
Oh, really?
I didn't know till like 2016. I'd never heard.
Well, because they
never played enough.
They failed.
I never saw them.
No, they failed in the States. The States were.
It's not friendly to them.
No, not at all. And they were a good band.
They were. Matter of fact, when I first heard them, I think it was like 2016, and I was sitting home and they were playing on the radio and I was listening. I remember saying to my wife, "Oh, these guys sound kind of cool. Who's this?" And she kind of like, "What do you mean, who's this?" "It's the Hip." And I'm like, "They're called the Hip? That's kind of a weird name." She's like, "No, the Tragically Hip." And I thought, well, that's an even more fucked up name.
Yeah, yeah, it is.
So I was like, okay, they sound really cool. And then she went on to tell me how big they were in Canada. I had no clue.
Well, yeah, because you were in the States, and they absolutely had no recognition in the States.
Never heard of them.
Failed in the States.
Yeah.
Which is crazy. Which is funny because remember Triumph? They were bigger in the States than they were in Canada.
Yeah.
Like that's.
Yeah, it depends on the audience.
It does. And it's crazy, but I'm sure you guys on the Dogs have at least a Hip song.
We have played Hip songs. We kind of change out our set list like every
Yeah,
day.
but I mean, you've played.
Yeah,
like,
we've played
Blow with High Dough, and you've played.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Those were my favorites. My bass player in my band, Donnie Dinsey, he just loved the hip, and we would do that. And he actually showed me like the intro to Blow with High Dough on my bass. And it's just it's a cool song. It's just the groove.
Yeah, I like the slide guitar in that one.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so they're a great band. They just didn't do it in the States.
No.
I don't get it, but the Americans are weird. But I mean, because think about it, okay? So what's his name? Gordon Downey on the hip is like the exact clone of what's his name from R.E.M., Michael Stipe. Like they are literally like they could be interchanged.
And that's the band I couldn't get into was R.E.M.
I only like the few songs. The first one was something Drive. I can't remember what it was, but I love the What's the Frequency, Kenneth, and Orange Crush.
Yeah.
But other than that, it was
they were
like
huge in the 90s.
they were them and I mean I still love Hootie the Blowfish, for crying out loud. Like
That
even
dude's a country singer now.
Darius Rucker.
Yeah.
He did a cover of Wagon Wheel, and I think it's better than the original. I was talking to a waitress or a bartender in Nashville, and she said that Darius Rucker is like one of the nicest human beings she has ever met in her life.
You got to admit, the guy, he's pretty lucky. You start a band called Hootie and the Blowfish, okay?
And nobody knows who Hootie is.
Yeah, they all think that he's Hootie.
Yeah.
You know? So they put out, I don't know how many albums they put out, but it wasn't that many.
I think they got 2 or 3.
Okay,
I know they've got 2. Yeah. I don't know if there's a third.
We'll say 2 known albums. They sold some ridiculous amount of copies of these albums, like back when people bought albums.
Yes.
They sold millions and millions of albums. And when you think about the songs and the time period, for them to do as well as they did is an absolute miracle. Okay?
Yes.
Absolute miracle. They were just right place, right time, right songs.
Well, they were a college band, and they
probably wouldn't fly today. Like, if you take a lot of those bands and the songs that they wrote at that time period, if they were to release them today, people wouldn't.
No, I don't think
they
so.
wouldn't have the same.
But like "Hold My Hand" is still one of my favorite songs ever, and I karaoke the shit out of it all the time. It's just like, it's like to me, it's like Margaritaville, which I absolutely love too. Margaritaville, I performed it. I don't know how many times. That's
like a karaoke standard.
Yeah. But I was in when I was in Nashville, I went to there's a karaoke place, like it's famous. Mm-hmm. And I went up and I did Margaritaville. And even Blake Shelton has done karaoke in this bar.
Right.
No Names, it's something like that.
Yeah.
And I did it, and people were singing with the chorus, and it was just like, "Lot sugar salt." It's like, it was fucking awesome, and it's like, and now I just I literally when he died, I actually sat out on my deck and listened to him for 12 hours.
Did you have a margarita with salt?
Oh God, way too fucking many of them.
Did I?
Yeah, did I? Have you never seen me make a margarita before?
Isn't it funny? A song like that with such simple lyrics, just a simple, happy song. It will be played for hundreds of years. It'll be played forever. And when you think about it, what was the guy who wrote that song? What's his name? I'm drawing a blank.
So I shouldn't be.
Jeez, we should know that.
His it's not the dude that's the millionaire.
Jimmy
Buffett.
Jimmy
yes.
Buffett.
Okay. So I said millionaire, and you thought Warren Buffett.
Jimmy Buffett.
Yes.
He was a billionaire when he died.
Yes.
With a B. Now, you write a song like Margaritaville, that has been played on radios. It's been played in karaoke bars from the day it was written.
Yes.
That song not only has generated money and royalties all this time, but will continue to do so. His kids will all
make
benefit
money. Yeah.
from Margarita. There's restaurants called Margaritaville.
I've been to
bars,
I've been to
clubs.
3 of them. The worst one I was at was in New York City in Manhattan. It's 32 floors up, which is beautiful because you see the skyline of Manhattan.
Yeah, if you don't get mugged before you get
Yeah,
there.
but I got it cost me $52 for 2 margaritas. So yeah, and that's American.
Yeah.
That's not Canadian.
Yeah.
Like, that's
It's like $8,000 Canadian.
Yeah, exactly. We were at Margaritaville in Nashville,
Uh-huh.
and I had the best margarita in my life. It was a moonshine margarita.
Mhm.
Only cost me $8.
Right.
It was the greatest margarita I've ever had in my life. And there was a guy playing guitar. He had acoustic guitar, and he's playing. And I went, "Can you play Margaritaville?" He says,
Can I?
"No." He goes, "No, I can't." And he's played at Margaritaville. And it's like, "Okay, can you play Time of Your Life by Green Day?" He says, "I haven't played that in forever." "Yeah, I can play that."
Yeah.
And then he played Good Riddance, Time of My Life by Green Day. It was awesome. But yeah, the difference, like a $8 drink to a fucking $26 drink.
Well, that tells you a lot about
New York
New York
City?
City.
Yeah, stay the fuck away.
Yeah.
I do love New York City. It's fun. Like it's just cool.
Mhm.
Like you're at Times Square, right? And it's like everything's cool. I never stay in New York City. I stay in New Jersey.
I stayed in New Jersey. Too.
Yeah, I stayed in Secaucus, and then I would take a 10-minute bus ride to Times Square.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's a great place to be. We went on July 4th weekend.
Oh, that's a big one.
There was nobody fucking there.
Wow.
It was like the Times Square was like empty. And it was the weirdest thing because I guess that weekend everybody just says, "Fuck you, we're gone."
Wow.
Yeah, it was crazy.
You'd think even the homeless would be kicking around there.
Yeah, and that's another thing. I don't understand. I never see the homeless in New York City.
Well, if you've ever been to a place like San Francisco, you'll see the homeless on a whole different level.
Okay.
Completely different level. Yeah.
I had a homeless guy in Montreal. He goes, "Hey, can you spare me money so I can take the train back to my house?" He's like, "Yeah, sure, I'll give you a couple bucks." He goes, "But it's actually $3." And I went, "Are you fucking kidding me right now? You're gonna fucking nickel and dime me?"
You know he was going to get a tall boy, right?
Oh, absolutely. At least there was a guy I met. I was wearing a duanesworld shirt, and he walked up and called me Dwayne, like right off the top bat, and I went, "Okay, this guy's got a fucking angle, but he is so nice." And he was a homeless guy, and he's going, "Man, do you think you just give me like $2.50?" It's like, "Really?" He says, "Yeah,
That's a pretty specific number, isn't it?
well, the dollar store
Uh-huh.
right there sold beers for $2.50. That's all he wanted.
What a
He just
coincidence.
wanted me to buy him a beer. And I was like, "Oh man, you're just awesome! Like I can't not."
Yeah.
I gave a homeless guy a leftover. Like we ate, and I gave him a leftover meal, and he kind of looked at me like I was fucking insane. And it's like, "Dude, it's food." And he was like totally cracked out.
Yeah.
And then he opened it up and he just started woofing it down. And it was like, "Dude." And then there was another guy I gave another meal to. And he was like so thankful. Like just, yeah. Yeah, I've never had a problem doing that. I usually won't give them money.
Yeah, I went through that period when I first moved to Hollywood. There was homeless people everywhere. I couldn't understand. They were like eating out of garbage cans and shit. And they'd ask me for money, and I felt bad. "Oh, here's some money." Then I noticed every time I gave them money, they were coming back out of the liquor store with a tall,
a tall boy or a fucking
malt liquor,
yeah,
shit like that. And I was like, I just paid for your malt liquor. You were hungry a minute ago. So from then, I just kind of, I don't think I will.
No, now if I see somebody who's homeless, I will stop at like a McDonald's and take it back to them.
Yeah.
It's like, you know what? Y'all going to eat.
If you're legitimately hungry, then here you go.
Yes, and if you don't want it, my buddy Mike says, that's kind of rude. And it's like, no, it's not kind of rude.
No, it's not.
I'm looking out for these fucking people who absolutely will destroy their lives. And they'll buy more booze or crack and they won't eat. So I'm giving, it's like, take the food or don't take the food. I don't care.
Yeah.
I'll eat it if you don't.
Exactly.
Like, really. And it was like, I did that with, there was these people in Smiths Falls. And they were stopped at Smokeham's. That's no longer there, but they were sleeping in the doorwell,
right?
And with a dog. So I went and I got a Big Mac meal or some fucking cheeseburger meal or something just to give it to them and to make sure that their dog got to eat.
Yeah.
Because honestly, I care more about dogs than I do people.
Yeah,
but,
me too.
Like really, like
that's the truth.
It is. It's absolutely the truth. I see these things on TikTok or everywhere else that says, would you miss a meal to feed your dog? It's like, absolutely, 100%.
Yep.
Like, I will starve to make sure my dog still eats.
Absolutely.
Like, they're the ones. So
absolutely.
And I know that riff. Leave me in the capable hands of Chris Young!
Yeah.
Oh, fuck, man, you're just so good. Like, really, like, so good. So, Chris and I are going to do a swap of t-shirts, Overture, and he's going to receive a duanesworld t-shirt. And because, like, that's what buddies do. They support each other, right? Like,
Yeah.
That's what you do. Even though you haven't seen each other technically in like 40 years, you still you support each other. So, all right. So, Mr. Christopher,
Swag bag.
I've got Chris. Chris gave me actually a swag bag, and I'm cheap. All I gave him was a Duane's World T-shirt, extra large fit, right?
Oh, absolutely.
I know. I don't want you to look crazy like I do. But Chris, what did he do? He gave me posters.
A little bit of everything.
Overture posters. Overture DVDs. Oh, both of them. Are you serious, brother?
I mean, nobody really plays CDs that much these days, but there's artwork inside and there's cool stuff. So yeah, you know, it's a good.
Yeah,
it's
it's
to have.
actually awesome. And like I said, go check them out because Overture is friggin' amazing. Like I said, it's a cross between Rush and
Dream Theater.
Yeah.
Those probably are bigger influences.
Yeah,
Sure.
but that's just like prog rock.
Yeah.
And I never figured I would see Chris playing that. I figured it'd always be like heavy metal, deathy like stuff, and it's like yeah. So I get a couple of, and I take this off, but I don't want to rip them.
Oh, just pull it off. You're good. Just a little piece of tape on there.
Yeah, but I can't see.
And I got my
I can't
Duane's World shirt here.
Can you see that?
Yeah, let me see what I can do. You can dig in there. This piece of tape off.
All right, so yeah, he's the brains behind this operation.
There you go.
And look at this.
That's the new album.
The new album,
Allegiance.
which is out now. You can get it at YouTube.
Well,
Or your
on our website,
website.
Overtures, plural, music.com. And we got the albums, we got other swag. You can download, you can stream music on there, you can see.
Their videos are
our
fucking
videos.
amazing. That Chris spends hours editing. You have to. They're hours, right?
Months.
Okay, months. Yeah, because those videos are.
Yeah, a lot goes into those.
Oh, fuck. I watch them and I go, I took that in college and I can't do that.
I originally hired some production companies to do our videos, our first ones, and they came out okay. But I looked at them and said, you know what, I think I could do that better. So I kind of learned how to do it, and I've done all of them since then. So all of the videos you see of the band, I did all the production.
Like,
all
no,
the
and
artwork.
they blow me away. And like I said, I switched from network admin to web design.
Mhm.
So I have like I'm good with editing of like in
It's like Photoshop and Editor and
yeah. I'm good at all that stuff. But I watch your videos and I go, I can't fucking do that anymore.
there's a lot goes into that. It's very
Yeah,
involved.
and I'm too drunk. Let's just.
Well, you're honest.
The problem with me is I'm too honest. I still have never mentioned who I work for.
There we go.
Overture and Duane's World.
Yeah.
That's right, brother.
Yeah.
And I'm putting this fucker on right now.
All right.
That's right.
We call this cross promotion.
This is cross promotion. And I love this.
All right.
This is going to be one of those shirts that doesn't get in the dryer. This is going to be a hang-up shirt.
All right.
Yeah. Oh, wait just a second.
Oh, I still got a sticker on there?
Yeah, your sticker. Yeah, this is going to be one of my ones that I've got shirts that I will not put in the dryer.
Usually concert shirts that you want to last forever.
Exactly, and this is another one of those, and it's like it's really cool. You designed the
Yeah, I did that design.
I did that one.
All right.
I did that design.
Cool.
But yes, it's
Alrighty, I hope you enjoyed that as much as I enjoyed the interview. It's nice when you have people that you get along with and you can just like talk, right? And it's not forced, it's not rehearsed, it's nice that way. So yes, part 3 will come out on Tuesday, I promise. I will get my ass in gear. Take care of yourself, take care of each other, and don't be a fucking asshole!